Thank you, Eric, for this very friendly introduction and the warm welcome to the embassy. The Canada Meets Germany Alumni Forum, or CMG for short, is very grateful for the opportunity to be here to host or to hold the second German-Canadian concourse at the premises of the embassy. Your openness last year to experiment with us on a new format was a key factor for the successful launch of the concourse, of the German-Canadian concourse. The GCC brings together people to discuss very specific topics in a Canadian-German context, and it offers, for practical insight, a field trip, in particular for young professionals in the respective fields, the opportunity to have hands-on experiences. By taking the concourse under your patronage, you made a very clear commitment to continue the GCC, and through funding that we received from you this time and the logistic support, you enabled us to grow the concept. This year we will be open to widen our circles to a remote session in Gatineau in Quebec. So, good morning, Canada. Bonjour, Canada. At this point, I would also like to extend my thanks to Joseph Odiambo, he's a CMG alumnus, for organizing the Gatineau session. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have that many people in Canada and to actually make this conference for the first time a transatlantic event. Ladies and gentlemen, chers participants à Québec, sehr geehrte Gäste in Berlin. Welcome to the 2013 German-Canadian Concourse on the topic Canadian-German Cooperation in the Space Sector. Je vous souhaite la bienvenue de notre part à la conférence de la série German-Canadian Concourse sur le sujet Traverser l'Atlantique par l'espace, coopération canadienne-allemande dans le secteur spatial. Nous sommes très contents de vous voir, de voir un tel intérêt dans cet événement sur ce sujet spatial, autant à Québec et qu'à Berlin. Der German-Canadian Concourse führt jährlich Interessenten und Experten aus einem Fachgebiet zusammen, um ein konkretes Thema im deutsch-kanadischen Kontext zu beleuchten. Dieses Jahr Going Transatlantic Through Space. Dieses Jahr laden wir ein mit unseren erfahrenen Rednern aus vielen unterschiedlichen Bereichen der Raumfahrtbranche die vielfältigen Aspekte des deutsch-kanadischen Dialogs und der Zusammenarbeit zu beleuchten und kennenzulernen und im Detail zu diskutieren. The Canadian-German partnership in the area of technology and innovation has a long-standing tradition, as Eric already pointed out. Manifested was this by the German-Canadian Intergovernmental Agreement on Scientific and Technological Cooperation, which was signed in 1971. Under this framework, the space sector became an important field of collaboration. Not much later, end of the 70s, Canada signed an agreement with the European Space Agency to become an associated member of ESA, which it is still. Through this cooperation with ESA, it established additional links to the German space industry, to the German space community, since Germany is one of the founding members of ESA. The domain of Earth observation has since developed a major field of bilateral space activities. A very recent and very prominent example is the DLR ground station, which was built in Inuvik, on the Inuvik satellite station, which was inaugurated in August 2010. But the intention to continue this established joint work in space was officially expressed at the beginning of the year when DLR and Canada's Centre for Remote Sensing, both are actually being represented at this conference through speakers and panelists on the conference. Through a political understanding of, so now I lost the track, so I start again. They officially expressed beginning of the year DLR and Canada's remote sensing, Center for Remote Sensing, a memorandum of understanding to further cooperate in the field of Earth observation. And as Eric already pointed out as well, this is all happening in the framework of the CETA, the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, which was signed exactly 4 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. And it will set a new framework for transatlantic commercial endeavors in which the space activities also will fall. Despite these numerous fruitful cooperations between Germany and Canada and joint ventures, this success story is little known within a growing bilateral economic relationship between Canada and Germany. And this concourse will deliver insight into these relationships. Well, I was doing a little research in preparation for this conference, and I found out quite a lot of remarkable cooperation that they're existing between Canada and Germany on space-related topics. I'm just listing a few. Most of these cooperations are actually being represented through participants here in this room or on the other side of the Atlantic in Gatineau. So, for example, we learned about a Canadian-German consortium building Europeans' deep space antennae, a Canadian spacecraft manufacturer who has built a Canadian-German Earth observation fleet, a German launch service provider who injected a Canadian satellite into orbit, a Canadian ground segment which is supporting, or several ground segments supporting German satellites, a very strong radar satellite partnership between Canada and Germany, a Berlin-built equipment which is enabling Canadian video streaming from space, and business incubation for European and Canadian space-related companies. I think this is showing that there's a lot of activities going on and that there's a lot to learn about. And this conference theme, when we actually started with organizing this conference under this theme, this conference theme was actually considered by us as a niche event. And it turned out that it is actually a hot topic in the respective fields in the space community. The importance of this topic for the space community is reflected by the willingness of our partners to actually fund this conference. And I would like to thank our sponsors, first of all, Eurocard Launch Services and Vortex Antennentechnik for their financial funding, Astrium for hosting the reception subsequent to this conference part, Greenstorming for managing the event organization pro bono, and the Embassy for the extensive support, which is not only funding or basically hosting this conference at this premises, but it's also continued all the technical setup that is needed to broadcast across the Atlantic. Everything was done by the help of the Embassy. Now, let's get started. I would like to introduce you to our moderator, Daniel Skuka. Daniel Skuka is a born Torontonian living in Darmstadt, working at the European Space Operations Center. So his career itself is a Canadian-German relation. Daniel is working as a senior editor for spacecraft operations at ESA's Control Center, as I already said. He looks back on a career of 10 years in technology journalism in Tokyo. Today, he is guiding us through the program. He will go with you and with the speakers through 2 blocks of speeches, separated by coffee breaks. And at the end of the evening, we will have a panel discussion, which will be moderated by Daniel as well. It's a pleasure, Daniel, to have you as our moderator. Thank you very much. I wish you a very interesting, insightful, fruitful afternoon. And yeah, I give over to Daniel. Thank you.